I stood in the kitchen doorway, watching my sister Amber pose for another Instagram photo. Her diamond ring caught the morning light as she fluttered her perfectly manicured fingers. Mom and Dad gathered around her like she was royalty, cooing over wedding plans. "Isn't she just perfect?" Mom whispered to Dad, not noticing me standing there with my coffee cup. I'd heard this my whole life. Amber was the beautiful one, the social butterfly, the daughter who made them proud. I was just Karen, quiet, bookish, forgettable. While Amber collected boyfriends and beauty pageant trophies, I collected good grades and scholarship letters. Nobody asked about my college plans that morning. They were too busy discussing flower arrangements and dress fittings. I sipped my coffee, watching the family golden child bask in attention she'd never had to earn. If only they knew what I'd discovered last night. If you like our revenge stories, please subscribe for more. We drop powerful news stories every week, filled with truth, emotion, and justice. Don't miss the next one. And remember, some stories hurt, but they heal too. Subscribe now and join the journey. It started with a simple Google search for financial aid applications. I needed to check my trust fund balance, the inheritance Grandma Helen left me for college. The account showed $0. My hands trembled as I scrolled through the transaction history. Withdrawal after withdrawal, all authorized by A. Wills. Amber Wills. Wedding venue, $15. Designer dress, $8,000. Catering, $12,000. Every penny of my future stolen. I printed the bank statements with shaking fingers. Grandma Helen had worked 2 jobs her whole life, saving every dollar for my education. She knew I was the smart one, the one who'd make something of myself. The money was supposed to be mine at 18. But apparently, Amber needed a fairy tale wedding more than I needed college. I sat in my room, staring at the evidence. My sister had stolen my entire future, and our parents probably helped her do it. If you like our revenge stories, please subscribe for more. We drop powerful news stories every week, filled with truth, emotion, and justice. Don't miss the next one. And remember, some stories hurt, but they heal too. Subscribe now and join the journey. The next morning, I watched Amber flutter around the breakfast table like nothing had happened. She showed Mom pictures of centerpieces while Dad scrolled through catering menus on his phone. "Karen, you're so lucky to have a sister with such good taste," Mom said absently. "Maybe you'll learn something about style." Lucky. I almost laughed out loud. Amber glanced at me with that superior smile she'd perfected since childhood. Oh, Karen doesn't care about pretty things. She's too serious for all that. She waved her hand dismissively. Books and grades are more her speed. "Good thing one of our daughters is practical," Dad chuckled. "Amber's wedding is costing a fortune, but it'll be worth every penny." Every penny. My pennies. I stabbed my scrambled eggs, imagining how shocked they'd all be when they learned the truth. But not yet. I needed a plan first. I cornered Amber in her room that afternoon. She was trying on her veil, twirling in front of her full-length mirror like a princess in a fairy tale. "We need to talk," I said, closing the door behind me. "What's wrong, little sister?" She didn't even turn around. "You look stressed. Maybe try some makeup for once." I pulled out the bank statements. "I know what you did." Amber's reflection froze in the mirror. For just a second I saw panic flash across her face. Then she laughed. "Oh, that? Mom and Dad said it was fine. Grandma's money should go to something important, not just boring college stuff." She shrugged like she was discussing the weather. "Besides, you'll get scholarships. You're smart, remember? That money was mine. And now it's mine." She turned around, fixing me with a cold stare. "What are you going to do about it, Karen? Ruin my wedding? Make a scene?" She knew me too well. I'd never made a scene in my life. I didn't speak to anyone for 3 days. At dinner, I pushed food around my plate while listening to endless wedding chatter. The florist called about orchids. The photographer wanted to discuss lighting. The caterer needed final headcount numbers. "Karen, you're being very rude," Mom said on the 3rd night. "Your sister's wedding is the most important day of her life." "What about the most important day of my life?" I asked quietly. "Don't be dramatic," Dad sighed. "College isn't going anywhere. Weddings only happen once. Amber smirked from across the table. Some people are just naturally jealous, she said sweetly. Not everyone can handle other people's happiness. That night, I lay in bed making lists. Everything Amber had taken from me. Everything she'd ruined. But also everything I knew about her that others didn't. Her secrets. Her lies. Her fake perfect image. By morning, I had the beginnings of a plan. I became a detective in my own house. While everyone fussed over wedding preparations, I gathered information. Amber's laptop password was her birthday typical. Her email was full of interesting conversations. Like the messages with her ex-boyfriend Tyler, right up until last month. Miss you baby, and can't wait to see you after the honeymoon. Her fiancé Brandon had no idea his bride-to-be was still texting other guys. Then there were the credit card statements hidden in her desk drawer. Thousands of dollars in debt for clothes and spa treatments. Money she definitely didn't have. And the wedding vendor emails where she'd lied about her budget, promising payments she couldn't make. Half the vendors were already asking for money up front. I photographed everything with my phone. Evidence. Ammunition. Insurance. Amber thought she was so clever, stealing from the quiet little sister who'd never fight back. She had no idea I was building a case against her. Karen, I need you to help with wedding favors, Mom announced over breakfast. Amber has so much to do. I looked at my sister, who was painting her nails a perfect shade of pink. She didn't look busy. She looked like someone whose little sister was about to become her personal assistant. I'll be in charge of the gift bags, Amber said without looking up. You can stuff envelopes or something equally simple. Simple? Like I was too stupid for real responsibility. Of course, I said with a smile. I'd love to help. Amber finally looked at me, surprised by my enthusiasm. Really? You're not going to sulk about it? It's your special day, I replied sweetly. I want everything to be perfect. What I didn't say was that helping with wedding preparation gave me access to vendor contracts, guest lists, and timeline details. Information that might come in handy later. Amber beamed, thinking she'd finally broken me into submission. Working on wedding favors meant sitting at the kitchen table, while vendors called with updates. I heard everything. The photographer worried about lighting at the venue. The DJ needed the reception timeline. The caterer confirmed menu changes for Saturday. The rehearsal dinner is Thursday at 6 p.m., Amber told Mom while I folded programs. Just immediate family and the wedding party. How many people? Mom asked. 28. Brandon's parents, his brothers, our family, the bridesmaids and groomsmen. Amber checked her list. Oh, and the photographer will be there for candid shots. Perfect. A small, intimate gathering where everyone would pay attention to every word. Where cameras would capture every moment. Where Amber's perfect image mattered most. I smiled to myself, calculating timing. Thursday gave me 4 days to prepare. 4 days to plan something that would make my quiet little revelation impossible to ignore. The rehearsal dinner was going to be very memorable. Karen needs a dress for the rehearsal dinner, Mom announced Tuesday morning. We can't have her looking shabby next to Amber's friends. Thanks for the confidence boost, Mom. At the boutique, Amber held up dress after dress, rejecting each one. Too flashy for Karen. Too sophisticated. Too pretty. She finally selected a boring navy blue number that made me look like a nun. Perfect, she declared. Understated and appropriate. Translation. Ugly enough that I wouldn't accidentally steal attention from the bride. But while Amber paid for my discount dress with Dad's credit card, I made mental notes about the boutique's return policy. About Amber's measurements, which the sales lady announced loudly. About the final fitting appointment written in Amber's planner. Information was power, and I was collecting lots of information. You clean up nice when you try, Amber said as we left the store. Maybe someday you'll care about how you look. Maybe, I agreed, planning how shocked she'd be when she realized how much I'd been paying attention. Wednesday afternoon, I told Mom I was going to the library. Instead, I rode my bike to First National Bank and asked to speak with a manager about my trust fund. Mr. Patterson, the account manager, looked confused when I explained the situation. The withdrawals were authorized by your guardian, he said carefully. Your parents signed off on every transaction. I'd like copies of those authorization forms, I said politely. He hesitated. That's unusual for someone your age. I'm 18 next month. This is my money we're talking about. 20 minutes later, I had photocopies of every form. Mom and Dad's signatures were on each one, authorizing Amber to spend my inheritance on wedding expenses. They'd all planned this together. My own parents had helped steal my future. I biked home slowly, letting the betrayal sink in. It wasn't just Amber. It was everyone. My whole family had decided my dreams mattered less than her perfect wedding. Well, we'd see about that. Thursday morning arrived with chaos. Amber ran around the house in a panic, changing her rehearsal dinner outfit 3 times. Mom frantically called vendors to confirm timing. Dad practiced his father of the bride speech in the mirror. I sat calmly at the breakfast table, eating cereal and watching the hysteria. Karen, you're so relaxed, Mom observed. Aren't you excited for tonight? Very excited, I said truthfully. I think tonight will be unforgettable. Amber shot me a suspicious look. You're acting weird. What's wrong with you? Nothing's wrong. I'm just happy for you. I smiled innocently. You deserve everything that's coming to you. She frowned, trying to figure out if that was an insult. But I kept my expression perfectly pleasant. In my backpack upstairs, I had everything ready. Printed emails, bank statements, photographs, and a small recording device I'd borrowed from journalism class. Tonight wasn't just about exposing Amber's theft. It was about revealing who she really was. And everyone was going to see it. The private dining room at Preston's restaurant buzzed with conversation. Amber glowed in her designer dress, accepting compliments from Brandon's family. She played the perfect bride-to-be, sweet and gracious and completely in love. I sat quietly at the corner table, wearing my boring navy dress, and watching everyone fall for her act. Amber's such a catch, Brandon's mother gushed to Mom. Brandon's so lucky to find someone so genuine. Genuine. I almost choked on my water. The photographer moved around the room, capturing candid moments of family bonding. Amber posed naturally, like she was born for the camera. Her bridesmaids giggled and fawned over her ring. Isn't this perfect? Dad whispered to me. Your sister looks so happy. She does, I agreed. But appearances can be deceiving. He looked confused, but before he could ask what I meant, the waitstaff began serving appetizers. Everyone took their seats, focusing on Amber at the head table. Showtime. After dinner, Dad stood up with his champagne glass. I'd like to say a few words about my beautiful daughter, he began. Everyone smiled and raised their glasses. Amber beamed like a princess. Amber has always been our shining star, Dad continued. Beautiful, talented, everything a parent could want in a daughter. We're so proud to see her marrying such a wonderful young man. Polite applause. Brandon squeezed Amber's hand. And we're grateful we could give her the wedding of her dreams, even though it meant making some sacrifices. Sacrifices? My inheritance qualified as a sacrifice, apparently. To Amber and Brandon, Dad concluded. May your marriage be as perfect as this evening. Everyone drank. Everyone except me. Karen, your turn, Amber called out sweetly. Don't you want to toast your big sister? All eyes turned to me. I stood up slowly, feeling my heart pound. Actually, I do have something to say about my sister. This was it. The moment everything changed. I reached into my purse and pulled out a folded piece of paper. I've been thinking about what makes Amber so special. I began, my voice carrying clearly across the quiet room. Amber smiled encouragingly, expecting typical little sister praise. She's always been good at getting what she wants, I continued. Like when she wanted my prom dress so she accidentally spilled paint on it. Or when she wanted my college boyfriend, so she told him I was seeing someone else. Amber's smile flickered. Karen, what are you doing? I'm giving a toast, I said innocently, about the sister I know so well. Brandon looked confused. His parents exchanged glances. The photographer kept shooting, capturing everything. But the thing that really shows Amber's character happened recently. I continued, unfolding my paper. When she decided she deserved my inheritance more than I deserved college. Gasps echoed around the room. Amber went pale. See, Grandma Helen left me money for education. But Amber thought it would look better as wedding decorations. The room fell dead silent. I pulled out the bank statements and held them up. These show every withdrawal. Venue rental, catering, flowers, dress. All paid for with money that belonged to me. Karen, stop this right now, Mom hissed from across the room. Why? Because it's embarrassing. I looked directly at her. You signed the authorization forms, Mom. You and Dad helped her steal from me. Brandon's family looked shocked. His mother whispered something to his father, their faces full of concern. That money was for the family, Dad said weakly. Amber's wedding benefits everyone. Really? How does it benefit me? I asked. When I can't afford college because my sister needed a perfect party? Amber finally found her voice. You're ruining everything, she said through gritted teeth. No, you already did that. I pulled out my phone. But wait, there's more. The photographer moved closer, sensing drama. This was definitely going in his portfolio. Should I tell everyone about Tyler? I asked sweetly. Amber's face went white as snow. Tyler's your ex-boyfriend, right, Amber? I continued scrolling through my phone. The one you've been texting right up until last week? Brandon straightened in his chair. What's she talking about? I started reading from Amber's messages. Miss you, baby. Can't wait to see you after the honeymoon. This wedding is just for show. That's not real, Amber said desperately. She's making it up. I held up my phone, showing the screen to Brandon. His face changed from confusion to hurt to anger in seconds. You've been cheating on me? He asked quietly. It's not cheating. It's just complicated, Amber stammered. Complicated? Brandon's voice rose. We're getting married on Saturday. His family looked mortified. The bridesmaids sat frozen, unsure whether to defend Amber or distance themselves. There's also the debt. I continued helpfully. $20,000 in credit cards. Designer clothes, spa treatments, salon visits. All hidden from Brandon. How much? Brandon's father demanded. Amber opened and closed her mouth like a fish, unable to form words. This is insane. Amber finally exploded, jumping to her feet. Karen's jealous because she's never been special. She's making up lies to ruin my wedding. Lies. I pulled out more papers. Here are your credit card statements. Here are the vendor contracts you signed promising payments you can't make. Here are more text messages to 3 different guys. The room erupted in whispers. Brandon's family huddled together, talking in urgent voices. Mom burst into tears. Dad sat stunned, staring at the evidence scattered across the table. You're crazy, Amber screamed at me. You've always been weird and jealous, and now you're trying to destroy my life. I'm not destroying anything, I said calmly. I'm just telling the truth. The truth. Amber laughed hysterically. You want the truth? Fine. You're right. I took the money. I deserve it more than you. You're nobody special, Karen. You'll never be anything. The photographer captured every moment of her breakdown. This was definitely going viral. You're pathetic, Amber continued, tears streaming down her face. Plain, boring, invisible Karen. At least I matter. Brandon stood up slowly, his face cold with fury. Is it true about the money? He asked. Amber wiped her eyes, trying to compose herself. Baby, I can explain. Is true. She nodded miserably. And Tyler. Another nod. And the debt you hid from me? I was going to tell you after the wedding, she whispered. Brandon pulled off his engagement ring and set it on the table. There isn't going to be a wedding. Amber's face crumpled. You can't be serious. We can work this out. Work what out? The lies? The cheating? The stealing from your own sister? He looked disgusted. I don't even know who you are. His family gathered their things, preparing to leave. His mother looked at Amber with complete disdain. We'll be in touch about canceling the vendors, Brandon said formally. Send me the bills for whatever can't be refunded. Brandon, please, Amber begged, grabbing his arm. He pulled away and walked out, his family following behind. The dining room cleared quickly after Brandon left. His family, the bridesmaids, the groomsmen. Everyone found excuses to escape the drama. Within 10 minutes, only my family remained. Amber sat slumped in her chair, mascara streaking down her cheeks. Mom cried silently into her napkin. Dad stared at the scattered evidence like he couldn't believe it was real. Are you happy now? Mom finally asked me. You've destroyed your sister's life. I've revealed who she really is, I corrected. There's a difference. She's your sister, Dad said weakly. Family should protect each other. Like you protected me when you helped her steal my inheritance? I asked. He had no answer for that. Amber looked up at me with pure hatred. I will never forgive you for this. Good, I said, standing up. Because I'll never forgive you for stealing my future. The photographer had finally stopped taking pictures. Even he seemed uncomfortable with how brutal everything had become. The wedding is Saturday, Mom said desperately. What are we going to tell people? The truth, I replied, gathering my evidence papers. By Friday morning, the story had exploded online. The photographer, apparently deciding this was too good to keep quiet, had posted selective shots on Instagram with captions like, "When wedding toasts go wrong," and "Family drama caught on camera." My phone buzzed with notifications. Friends from school texting, "OMG, is this real? And your sister is trending on TikTok." Someone. Amber locked herself in her room, refusing to come out. Mom spent the day calling vendors to cancel everything. Dad sat in his office with the door closed, probably calculating how much money they'd lost. I went to school like it was any normal day. But everywhere I walked, people stared and whispered. Some looked impressed. Others seemed scared of what quiet Karen Wills was capable of. At lunch, my best friend Emma found me. "Girl, you are legendary," she said. "That video has 500,000 views already." Video. I hadn't seen any video. Emma showed me her phone. Someone had recorded my entire toast and uploaded it to every social platform. The video showed me calmly reading bank statements while Amber fell apart in the background. "The comments are insane," Emma said, scrolling through hundreds of responses. "Everyone's on your side. They're calling you a hero for exposing her." I watched myself on the tiny screen, surprised by how composed I looked. I'd felt terrified inside. But the camera showed a confident girl standing up for herself. "Read these," Emma said, showing me comments. "She's a queen for this. That sister got what she deserved. This is how you handle bullies. Karen for president." It felt surreal. All my life, I'd been invisible, forgettable. Now millions of strangers knew my name and were cheering for me. But not everyone was supportive. Brandon's ex-friends had posted nasty comments about crazy families and trashy drama. Some of Amber's followers were defending her, claiming I was jealous and vindictive. The truth was messier than social media wanted it to be. Saturday arrived. What should have been Amber's wedding day. Instead, she finally emerged from her room looking like a zombie. Her perfect hair was greasy, her face puffy from crying. "The vendors want their money," Mom announced grimly. "The ones we can't cancel." "How much?" Dad asked. 12,000 dollars. For food that can't be returned and services already provided. Dad sat down heavily. "We don't have $12,000. Maybe you should ask Amber to pay for it," I suggested. "With the money she stole from me." "We get it, Karen," Amber snapped. "You won. Are you satisfied?" I looked at my sister, really looked at her. Without makeup and designer clothes, she seemed smaller somehow. Less golden. More human. "I didn't do this to win," I said quietly. "I did it because you took everything from me and acted like it didn't matter." "I know," she whispered, and for the first time, she sounded genuinely sorry. "Do you? Because you've never apologized." "Not once." She met my eyes. "I'm sorry, Karen. I'm sorry I took your money. I'm sorry I was horrible to you. I'm sorry I ruined everything." Monday morning brought surprises. My phone rang at 7 a.m. A woman from the local news station wanting to interview me about standing up to family bullies. "Thanks but no," I said politely. I'd had enough publicity, but other calls kept coming. A scholarship foundation that had seen the viral video. A women's empowerment group wanting me to speak at their event. A book publisher interested in my story. The biggest surprise came that afternoon. An email from the admissions office at State University. They'd seen the news coverage and wanted to offer me a full academic scholarship. Based on your test scores and the courage you've shown in standing up for yourself, we believe you'd be an excellent addition to our honors program, the email read. I stared at the screen in disbelief. A full ride. Everything I'd lost when Amber stole my inheritance, plus more. When I showed the email to my parents, Dad actually smiled for the first time in days. I'm proud of you, he said quietly. Not for what you did to Amber, but for not giving up on your dreams. 2 weeks later, Amber knocked on my bedroom door. She looked different, humbler, more real. Her perfect Instagram-ready appearance had been replaced by casual clothes and no makeup. Can we talk? She asked. I closed my laptop and gestured to my desk chair. She sat down carefully, like she was afraid I might explode again. I got a job, she said. At the mall. Retail. It's not glamorous, but it's honest work. Good for you. I'm going to pay you back. Not just the inheritance money, everything. With interest. She pulled out a piece of paper. I calculated how much I owe you. It'll take 3 years working full-time, but I can do it. I read her handwritten payment plan. It was detailed, realistic, and would cost her every penny of spare money for years. Why? I asked. Because you were right. I was selfish and horrible and I hurt you. She looked up at me. You're my sister. You deserved better. For the first time in months, I saw my real sister. Not the perfect golden child, but the flawed human being who might actually be worth knowing. 3 months later, I walked across the stage at graduation as valedictorian. In the audience, my parents beamed with pride. Even Amber clapped enthusiastically from her seat in the back row. After the ceremony, reporters tried to interview me about the wedding toast that changed everything, but I declined. That story was over. This was the beginning of a new one. Ready for college? Dad asked as we drove home. More than ready, I said, thinking about my full scholarship, my acceptance into the honors program, and the future that was finally mine again. Amber had texted me that morning. Proud of you, little sister. You earned this. She was right. I had earned it. Not through theft or manipulation or playing favorites, but through hard work and refusing to stay silent when someone tried to steal my dreams. The real victory wasn't destroying Amber's wedding. It was discovering that quiet Karen Wills had a voice worth hearing, and the courage to use it when it mattered most. Sometimes the best revenge is simply living well, and loudly enough that everyone can see you doing it. If this story moved you, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more powerful narratives, and share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear what part hit you the hardest. Thanks for watching.